And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of We Know Big Blue Ball, especially after maybe our most important episode yet, because we took down the Louisville Cardinals
Yes, sir.
yesterday from, let me get this right, the Central Bank Center at Rupp Arena, or maybe that's flip-flop.
Who
But
knows?
L's down, took them down in a competitive game. It's awesome to see the rivalry back. As always, I am Coach Ryan, joined by Clarkus. Clarkus, how the heck are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good to have the rivalry back.
It is, and I was thinking last night. It's better when Louisville's good.
Yes.
And that pains me to say that. Sometimes it pains me to say that because I am the most Louisville hater of Louisville haters around.
Yeah. I mean, there may be one school I hate more, but it's close.
Yeah, and I am definitely Mr. L's down.
Yep.
Whatever you call it.
You were on fire on X yesterday.
And it. By the way, X, I'm going to shamelessly plug myself at Coach Ryan KY if you're not already following me.
Clark is 23.
There you go. So it was just an extraordinary game. It was, the buzz was in the air in this town yesterday.
100%. We got home from shopping for Christmas presents at like noon, and I live pretty much downtown. Already a circus.
Yes.
Nuts.
And you could feel it also, just around town. You were seeing everybody had blue on. And
I think I saw one person with red yesterday, and she was still wearing a UK hat.
See, you can't do that. Also, speaking of the red, Antoine Walker, I know you follow me on X. Love you. You're one of my all-time favorite cats. You can't wear the red Jordans to be the Y, bro.
No.
You cannot do that. Bad look. But he did. But it was nice to see Twan back.
Very.
One of my all-time favorite Wildcats.
It was a monster here.
For some people of a certain age with Antoine Walker, kind of our age, he was the NBA connection for Kentucky.
Yeah.
That there, believe it or not, there was a time when Kentucky did not have guys on seemingly every NBA team.
Right.
But unbelievable game. Kentucky comes out on top. But it was back and forth. It was a rivalry game. I was talking on X about how the ebbs and flows. And, you've got people, and this is a not knowing basketball statement. You've got people out there saying, well, Louisville was unranked and Kentucky was ranked 5th and all. It's a rivalry game.
Yeah, throw that all out the window.
If you've seen anything in sports in general, I don't care if it's high school, I don't care if it's college, I don't care if it's professional. The records in these hated rivalries.
Throw them out.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because it's the feeling. I mean, you see it with Ohio State and Michigan this year in football, right?
Right. Well, I think it's funny after the game was over, Louisville fans parading around. Yeah, you beat us, but you didn't cover.
Yeah, they are.
Come on now.
There's a lot of ifs being thrown around.
Oh, yeah. If we'd have had this guy and this guy, we would have won. No, you wouldn't have. Just chill out, little bro.
Yeah, and, Lamont Butler performance
Dog.
For the ages.
Dog.
That it came out kind of right before that he was going to play.
Yep. I believe we had that first.
Well, we did. Not going to say who we got it from, but we did have that first. The thing about him coming out is just it shows the experience, and it shows the leadership.
Yeah.
So you've got a guy coming off of injury in Lamont Butler that he came out. There was questions if he was going to play. Comes out, puts one of the performances that are going to go down in the history books in this rivalry.
Probably the best performance against Louisville I've ever seen.
I mean,
it's up. Well, it may not be the best, but it's up there. It's top 3 to 5.
Yeah, it's up there, and just 100% from the field. Who does that?
Right.
I mean, who does that? Right.
Lamont.
Yeah, Lamont apparently. And when you look at national championship caliber basketball teams.
We're watching one every week.
Point guard. Point guard, point guard, point guard. And I'm not talking about the John Wall, those guys are great.
Right.
I'm talking about it takes almost your leader on the team at the point.
Yes. He's running the show. He's got the ball in his hands every single play.
And what I'm really impressed with Lamont Butler about in general is his decision making. It's
so smart.
It's very good. He never, it seems, makes the wrong decision. That
I haven't seen any.
And one big thing that I've noticed with Lamont in general is they'll get in transition and they'll beat the team down the court. Well, and you know, the Calipari offense and the Pope offense are a little different.
Very.
The Calipari offense would have been take that to the rim, try to score, try to draw a foul. You'll see
they are hitting these trailers, man. It's something beautiful to watch.
Exactly. You'll see, you know, him kind of pull up a little bit to hit the trailer. Ortega pulverized a guy.
Thundered.
That play. That play.
Massive. I jumped out of my seat. Well, I wasn't really sitting, but I jumped and almost hit my head on the ceiling fan. And it's like, ugh.
Speaking of sitting, there was a little bit of drama that came out. We'll get into breaking down the game a little bit, but there was a little bit of drama that came out about the lower arena at Rupp.
They need to stop with this.
What happened was there was a fan that was standing, and from what I gathered from the information, it was his first game.
Yeah.
What a first game to go to.
No
by the
kidding.
way, right? But from what I understand, one of the blue coats asked him to sit down. He obviously said no, and then the police got involved. And you know, I
heard they threatened a night in jail,
which is insane
for standing at a UK Louisville basketball game. Yeah, that cop is clearly a Louisville fan.
Yeah, so it's it's one of those things that hopefully that gets taken care of, because
we have to stand. Look at every other crazy arena.
I mean,
Cameron Indoor, Allen Fieldhouse, they're all standing.
Yes.
For the whole game.
Yes. And it's weird because in Kentucky football, it's standing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be playing, Eastern Kentucky, shout out, but you could be playing Eastern Kentucky and they're still going to stand. And that's important.
It's almost like our basketball fans are like treating it as like it's like a play or a performance. It's ridiculous. Like,
it's one of those things where they're going there to be seen, right?
Yeah, it's a social event.
Yeah, so they're going there to be seen. It's a social event. The who's who of Lexington is there.
Half of Tops of Lex is sitting in the lower bowl.
Yeah, so that's just kind of the way the cookie's going to crumble. But that whole situation where that the law enforcement should not be getting involved.
No.
In people standing.
It's different if there's like an altercation or he's messing with somebody, but he's literally cheering for the Cats.
Yeah, he's just if that was his seat,
leave the man alone.
Yeah, leave him alone. But we'll move on to kind of breaking down this game a little bit. Obviously, the story that's going to come out of this, and what we're going to remember from this, is the Lamont Butler thing, which we've talked about. But the other thing that I thought was noticeable, Kentucky was looser than Louisville.
Very. Louisville was playing tight.
I thought so, and I thought Louisville did loosen up a little bit.
They did.
But at the beginning, they looked tight to me. Mm-hmm. And it makes you wonder if that Terrence Edwards quote about, some guys came to Louisville because of this Kentucky game, it makes you wonder if the lights were a little too bright for the Cards at first.
Yeah,
they did settle in.
They did settle in.
One thing that was pretty cool, though, and I do like it, and I hate to give Louisville a compliment.
I'm going to give them one here in just a second.
But I absolutely loved the Peyton Siva going back and forth.
With the fans. Yeah.
That's what the rivalry's
I still
about.
Got the ring.
As long as it's clean back and forth, that's fun.
That's what rivalries are about.
When it's between, like a coach and stuff like that. When it's between fans, I understand it's going to get nasty. But if it's a coach or a player coming back and forth at a fan and it's clean, I think that's great.
Right.
I think it adds to the rivalry, and it also adds some personality to these people. A lot of the times, especially with the previous coach that Kentucky had.
Well, this is a whole different rivalry than it was with Cal and Rick.
Yeah, but it almost felt at times like these guys weren't, real people.
Right.
And you can see the personalities coming out.
Oh yeah.
Not only on Kentucky's team, but on Louisville's as well. What was interesting is Louisville had 2 BYU transfers.
Yeah. Noah Waterman and Ali Khalifa.
And man, I cannot stand Noah Waterman.
He's a little annoying.
He's annoying. He is a very, very stereotypical Louisville player. He had a.
How did he even get into BYU?
I am not sure, but the thing where. Did you see where he took the 3? It was a straight up contest. It was verticality. Verticality. Coach Pope preaches that all the time. But he went straight up and he just fell.
Yep.
He wasn't even touched. And the ref, we'll get on that in a second. But
oh god,
the ref just kind of looked at him. It was
like, "What are you doing?
What are you doing?" And it was kind of funny because it was by the Kentucky bench, and Pope even kind of looked down at him, and you could tell, what was that? He didn't even touch him.
I didn't coach you that at BYU.
Yeah, so it was funny. And one thing after the game with Waterman that if it came out that Pope gave him a little shove, playful,
right?
But gave him a little shove, and Pope praised Noah Waterman, saying that he wouldn't be at Kentucky if it weren't for, Ali Khalifa and Noah.
All them guys last year, yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But one thing that I thought was a little bit interesting, I wouldn't look too much into it. Ali Khalifa was doing some trash talking.
Yeah, from the bench. Hadn't played a minute.
And it's like, you haven't played a minute, you're hurt. And this is your former coach, and you're probably the loudest voice over there right now.
Right. Well, he knows all the buttons to push.
Yeah.
It was his coach, and he can say them without having to run now.
Yeah, that's true. If Mark Pope, if you're watching this, I think you should have made Ali Khalifa run a little bit more. But not a good looking man. But when it comes to the officiating, Pat Adams.
God, that was so annoying. This isn't about you.
Exactly, and that's the best way to go about it. It's not about you. We're kind of getting past the era of these, TV Teddy, Doug Shouse, where it was constantly.
Because we should not know a referee's name.
And you don't. In football, it's
any
crazy.
Good refs, you don't know their name.
And in college football, I couldn't tell you a ref's name.
Nope.
But in
I know one football referee, and that's between college and NFL, and it's Ed Hockley. And that's only because he's jacked.
Yeah, but that when it comes down to this whole thing, I know just a plethora of these college basketball refs. And what was weird is you could tell that Pat Adams was trying to make it about him.
Oh, yeah. He overruled a couple calls and was like, no. This is what I saw. It's going that way.
And it's like, how did you see it? It's,
You're on the other side of the court, Pat.
And these aren't small humans.
No.
At all. So it was just horrendous all around, his performance yesterday. And what really kind of nailed the, I guess, coffin in this take, right? That he was out there for the TV time and stuff. Did you see how he announced that whatever in the microphone after review? It was like he was on the damn broadcast.
Right.
I mean, Pat, what are you doing? You cannot be like that.
No.
That leads to conversations that you don't want to have.
Right.
In a sport that has seen things go awry in officiating in the past.
Our fan base knows all about that. Shout out, Matt.
Yeah. But ultimately, it was frustrating too because, and it was both ways. The officiating was horrible both ways. I'm not saying that, that it was a pro Louisville whistle, pro Kentucky. I think it was just awful.
It was bad.
It was just inconsistent. That I can work with a consistent whistle that what's going to get called,
Yeah.
this, that, the other. What you can't work with is, you know, this gets called one time and then you come back down and it's the same thing.
And it doesn't get called.
Yeah, it's like in baseball, where an ump's, all over the plate. It's hard to gauge a whistle.
Yes.
And figure out what's going to get called, what's not going to get called. And
I know
it leads to inconsistent basketball because people are afraid, players that is, to make contact.
Yeah. Well, I know Pope at one point wasn't happy. He looked at Pat Adams. I believe it was when Louisville had a player go down with cramps right after we got a breakaway dunk, which I understand. Make Louisville call that timeout and don't do a media timeout. But it looked to me, lip reading wise, he looked at the ref, which was Pat Adams, said, "I don't appreciate you doing that."
Yeah. And it's Mark Pope's kind of notoriously somebody that will get on the refs, but he also went to that referee symposium to where he tries to understand this better.
Yeah, every coach should do that.
But I'll tell you who I would have wanted a mic on yesterday.
Kerr Kriisa.
No, Leanne Pope.
Oh, man.
It would have been great because I know she gets after the officiating, especially when it's bad.
You think Mark ever gets thrown out of a game?
It's going to be hard because he doesn't cut.
He'll say one thing and just kind of walk away.
I think Mark, well, I don't know. There's times and places in coaching where, you need to get thrown out.
Right.
You see it in baseball. You see it in basketball. You never see it in football, but you see it in hockey some too.
Right.
But there's I don't think Mark Pope's ever gonna do one of these Caliparis like at South Carolina and get thrown out
right
3 minutes into the game.
No,
thing.
No.
Because the way
wasn't Pat Adams calling that game too?
I believe so, but the way I think Pope would think about that is that's hurting his team's chance to win.
Yes, you got to have Pope on that sideline.
Yeah, when you're taking them out,
and that's no slight at other coaches because they're good too, but
yeah,
they're not Rhodes Scholar level smartness.
And the coach, I guess, that would fill in there would be Alvin Brooks if that happened. I think he's the associate head coach, but
I believe so.
I think you'd want Mark Fox probably handling that, but I don't know. I don't think it's a situation we're going to run into.
No. The only reason I brought it up, my wife asked last night, she was like, Pope didn't look happy with that referee. Do you think he'll ever get thrown out of a game? I was like, highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I'd set the over-under at 0.5 games.
Mark Stoops has a higher chance of getting thrown out of a game, I think, than Mark Pope. And that's crazy to say.
Yeah.
Because you never see football coaches get tossed, ever. And,
that would be hilarious.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I don't think you're going to see Mark Pope get tossed, but maybe, I don't know, if the situation calls for it.
I'd say the only scenario where he gets thrown out of a game is when he interferes like he has in the 2 scuffles we've had.
where he
just sprints over there and grabs his dudes.
Put Pat Kelsey in a headlock.
Essentially, man. Yeah.
And it was funny. The original picture, I've had a meme about it too, where they had the first handshake when the coaches come out and do the handshake at half court.
Pat Kelsey is a little man.
Yes, and I said in Rupp Arena we wear suits because Mark Pope said he would feel bad, and Pat Kelsey had the quarter zip on.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I think should happen in this rivalry either way is suits for both coaches.
Yeah,
wherever it's at, it's just that big of a game.
It's a big game.
Yeah, it's a huge game. So it's very important that in my eyes that you look the part, but
right.
That's whining over nothing essentially.
Yeah,
but
we're nitpicking.
Yeah. So one other thing that came out, let's have a little pause here on basketball. While we have this pause, why don't you check out Spearcrest Digital? One of the best ways to optimize your digital online presence in your marketing. That's one thing a lot of small businesses struggle with. How can I best reach my target audience? Well, at www.spearcrestdigital.com, they can help you through that process. So make sure you head over there, tell them that we sent you, and thank you for sponsoring this podcast. Now, one other thing that broke yesterday, Vince Merrill.
He's gone. I've been saying it.
He was at the game.
I saw that.
Could mean very little. We know that he's a man about town.
Right.
Shout out steakhouses.
Yeah.
But the it seems like it.
I feel like North Carolina can match, if not exceed, what he's making here. And how do you? I hate saying this because I don't like Belichick, but how do you say no to the GOAT?
It'll be hard, but he's the GOAT in the NFL too. Belichick.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How do you?
Yeah, he's not proven in college. There's nothing that says this is going to work.
I think it's going to work real well.
When Belichick got out of the NFL, one of his big complaints was just the personalities, right? Well, amp that up by 10 when you add in 18-year-olds. Now,
right.
The other thing that UNC needs to be on the lookout for is they're going to have to start recruiting a little bit harder for lacrosse, because those backup lacrosse players are about to come wide receivers for UNC. Watch it happen. Yeah, that was just me making a joke.
I figured.
But it seems like this might be the one. And what's concerning about it is, one, the time's awful.
Yep.
We've missed our chance here. Luckily,
look at how many of these guys that have gone in the portal are Vince guys, though.
That's true.
I think they're seeing the writing on the wall.
If Vince goes, it's hard to see where Stoops goes from there.
Yeah.
We're kind of essentially in a lame duck period with a head coach in football.
Yeah.
Especially if he goes, because it's just not going to get better.
I mean, we're already not in a good spot, but if Vince goes,
we're recruiting players right now from like low-level D1 or FCS schools. That's who we're getting in the portal.
Which I understand that. I do. Let me hear me out. They want dudes who have played the game. Doesn't matter, you're a backup at Georgia, cool. You didn't play.
Well, this is the SEC. This is not the...
Hey, it translates. Look at Marcus Cox.
He was trash this year.
No, he wasn't.
He was not good this year.
He was the best one on that offensive line.
None of them were any good on the offensive line.
I like Marcus Cox, so.
But that's one,
But that, to my point, you know where he came from?
Northern Illinois.
Bingo.
But I mean, we're not reaching out, it seems like, to any of these major guys.
They're not going to. They've said that. They want dudes who have played meaningful snaps. It didn't work in the last cycle. Brock, Georgia, bust. Gerald Mincey, bust. From Tennessee and Florida? Or no, Tennessee. Jalen Farmer, to be determined. Back up from Florida.
Chip
Trainum. Ohio State. Arizona State, bust.
Yeah, but it troubles me because, you and I earlier, we talked about it after the Georgia game. You and I talked about it on this podcast, that we talked about you walk into Kroger Field now and the size discrepancy that used to be there isn't.
Right.
And what concerns me about going after these even high-level FCS players is that they're FCS for a reason. And a lot of that reason, unfortunately for them, is due to size, things they can't control. There's EKU linemen that are great at that level, don't get me wrong, but it's not the SEC.
The ones they're recruiting are pretty big, though. I've seen 6'6", 330, 6'8", 325. That's SEC size.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's especially when it comes down to skill players, you gotta...
Skill players, that's maybe a little different.
You gotta take some risk here, I understand, but you also need to be reaching out to some guys that are proven.
Right.
On the SEC level, not proven at, Arizona State Tech Poly University or something like that. It's different.
Right.
It just means more.
Wonder if there's any chance we can get the kid who got snubbed from San Jose State, Nick Nash. You hear about that?
I did not.
He had basically the triple crown. Led all of college football in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Did not win the Bolitnikoff because Travis Hunter. But
Travis Hunter, congrats on the Heisman, by the way. I called that.
Yep, me too.
That was one of the most obvious
of
all time, but well deserved. Almost wish that my Raiders would take him, but the Raiders need a quarterback so bad.
I think y'all are gonna get stuck with Shedeur and his daddy.
Yeah, it's looking like that. But
Prime time in Vegas, baby.
This isn't a Raiders podcast, fortunately.
Yeah.
But back on to the whole Vince Merrill thing. So let's say you lose Vince Merrill.
I think Mark Stoops would have to take a very serious look in the mirror and think about packing his bags too. Because what does he do without Vince?
That's kind of what I'm thinking as well. Because, if your best friend leaves, and not only your best friend, the colleague that's been with you through
the entire time,
thick and the thin, been in the trenches.
Yep.
If he takes an opportunity for North Carolina, leaving the SEC.
Yeah.
Going to the ACC.
I get it though, man. They just upped their recruiting budget.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
5 times. It went from $4 million to $20 million.
And I can see what he's thinking about is, playoff. It's what he's thinking. And
well, it's easier than ever to get in now. I mean, look, Arizona State just got the number 4 seed.
Yeah. And nobody saw
SMU's in,
SMU, and I'm excited about the playoff. I think it'll be fun.
Me too.
There's been a lot of complaints.
Who you got winning it?
I think it's going to be Texas, Georgia in the finals, and this time I got I got Texas winning. Who do you got?
I have Oregon, Penn State, Oregon winning.
Oh, you're going Big Ten.
Unfortunately.
I'm going SEC. I think Texas has a really, really easy path to the.
Well, they do, but there's already a divide in that locker room.
And then as far as
because everybody's saying you got to bench Quinn Ewers and play Arch.
Yeah, and then have you seen the
and then Georgia's hurt
that came out of what Michigan State is offering Quinn Ewers?
No. I saw that there's a wasn't it something like 4.2 million?
4.2 million. Yeah, and most people have, written off Quinn Ewers to the NFL draft.
Not so fast, my friend.
4.2 is pretty good. Pretty good.
And he can't come back to Texas.
No. He's gonna.
That's gonna be the Arch show.
Yeah, it's gonna be. They're gonna have to. Well, I guess he could, but they're gonna have to pick, and they're going to pick Arch in that situation.
If he goes back to Texas, one of them has to leave. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, one's got to go, and they're both seemingly very, very good.
I could see a scenario where if Quinn does come back, Ole Miss has their next quarterback.
Yeah, it seems like that would be a very, very good land. But one other little tidbit of news while we're on football, Barryon Brown is going to be an LSU Tiger.
Yep.
So that hurts, but
I don't understand why some of these high-profile guys aren't waiting until the playoffs are over.
I understand it. Barryon was built to be an LSU Tiger, man.
I feel like Tennessee's a better fit. I hate saying that, but
yeah, I don't know. I think he's a very LSU guy, a very LSU fit.
He's gonna have a monster year down there.
Yeah, and it's that's something that as the Big Blue Nation we need to prepare ourselves for.
Thank God we don't have to play him.
We need to prepare ourselves. Just telling you, for Barryon to be good.
Yep. Oh, they will be
for Dane to be good,
and we're gonna have to play Dane.
Yep.
Because from what I'm hearing, unless he somehow, I'm hearing Nebraska's really in it. I'm hearing Georgia, Ole Miss, Nebraska. That's the 3 I'm hearing. Apparently, he visited Ole Miss over the weekend. But if he goes to Georgia or Ole Miss, we're gonna have to play him.
And be prepared for in the right offensive scheme, and with a quarterback that will throw him the ball. Be prepared
or has time to throw him the ball.
Yeah, be prepared for him to have a good season.
He's going to.
He will. And what's going to be more painful, I think, from these guys. And we didn't see it. To shout out to Jeff Badette, by the way, we didn't see it with him. He still considers himself a Kentucky Wildcat.
Yep.
But when Barryon and Dane inevitably go to the NFL, they're going to be some other school.
Right.
It's going to be Barryon Brown, LSU.
I think they would still potentially claim themselves as
maybe
Wildcats.
Dane, but
I think Barryon would.
Maybe. We'll see. But
because I don't think he'd be in a position to transfer somewhere like LSU if Stoops and Merrill hadn't got him in line, because he had some issues.
Yeah, I mean, it was a locker room issue. But it is what it is.
Yep.
With him. It ultimately seems to me like Kentucky is at this point just gonna get whoever they can. There's been a lot of roster turnover.
And it's not done.
Well, yeah, not done. And it's been one of the top in the country. It's not quite the top, but, top 3.
Marshall is the top.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
Yeah. We just got one of their linebackers, too, by the way.
Yes, we did. We got 2 commits from the portal over this weekend.
But when it comes to, I guess, just roster turnover and everything, you're going to have to start taking guys that.
And you got to have more on your roster.
Yeah, you don't know if it's going to work and that kind of thing. That it's just going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
They're getting some of what you would call culture pieces.
Yeah, and you don't see, these aren't players that are going to instantly, just turn things around.
No.
It's just not that, and that sucks. It does.
It does.
But I guess you're looking any way you go about it here at a rebuild.
Oh, 100%.
There's no momentum. There's nothing even here right now to build on. It's a complete rebuild.
Right.
And I don't see.
One other thing, it can be done quick. Look at Indiana.
It can, but is Mark Stoops the guy to make that transition here? I don't think so.
We will see.
We're going to find out, but one other thing that annoys me a little bit is these constant Vince Marrow. Well, I'm going here. Well, I'm going here. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Well, I'm going here. Well, stop. Like, either you're here or you're not.
Right.
You said you were here after the Louisville nonsense.
Yeah, but we all saw that was smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, you saw it was smoke and mirrors, and you saw there was a money difference there. But you said you were here. You said, I'm not going anywhere.
I didn't believe that.
Obviously, there's nothing to believe, right?
Right.
So he's given you no reason to believe it. So it is what it is, I guess.
Like I said after the Louisville thing, I would not be surprised if Marrow leaves.
Yeah.
Just got to have the right opportunity.
Yeah, you do. And it's
and I think North Carolina is it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's, they've been the story in sports.
I think they're going to build a factory down there, buddy.
Yeah, I mean,
what
if you're a recruit, how do you not want to go play for Bill Belichick?
Yes. That guy will get you in the end. He's going to be the John Calipari of football.
Especially if you're a quarterback.
Anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how many of these lacrosse players he's turned into Pro Bowl wide receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. And, he made Wes Welker a lot of money.
Yep. Wes Welker. What's the other? Jules.
Amendola.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that over the years
wasn't Julian Edelman a quarterback at Kent State?
Yeah, and then you had remember they had that I think his name was Chris Hogan.
Yep.
That he didn't even play college football. He was a college lacrosse player.
Yep.
So just kind of interesting. But back onto happier things, back onto basketball. Kentucky, after this win against Louisville, which we get a week to enjoy here because it is finals week.
Yep.
But Saturday we'll take on the Ohio State University from Madison Square Garden.
I thought we had one more game in between there.
Nope. I don't believe so. I can look right now, but
or maybe Brown's after Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that our next game is going to be Ohio State. One thing that's come out about Ohio State, Aaron
They
Bradshaw is back.
suck.
Yeah, they suck, but they also Ohio State's the next game, but they won are not good. But Aaron Bradshaw is back from whatever situation that was that took him away from.
Yeah, that all blew up, and then it's like it got swept under the rug. And
it kind of went away really quick.
He was in trouble for 2 different incidents.
Yeah, and then just kind of went away. But it'll be interesting to get to play against Aaron Bradshaw.
Amari Williams will break him in half.
Yeah, and when it comes to it depends on what Amari Williams shows up. There was a point yesterday, and I'm pretty sure I tweeted it out about that Amari Williams needs to get out of this game. Pope actually kind of immediately did it after I tweeted it. But in the second half, Amari Williams defensively was bad.
Yeah.
Not
who else was bad defensively?
Travis Perry.
Yes. Yeah. People aren't gonna like me saying that, but he ain't ready.
Yeah, not for that stage. He was getting blown by. One guy that I'm surprised we didn't see maybe for a minute or two was Trent Noah.
Trent deserves to be in the game more than Travis right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And I thought coming into the year it would be the opposite of that. But
one thing Travis is struggling with is hitting his shots.
Yeah.
He can get open, but one, you're seeing that he needs to be a little more open than you think.
Yeah.
And then 2, when he is, wide open a couple times, he's
thinking about it too much, probably.
Missed, yeah, or nerves or something like that. But I do think Travis Perry will provide great minutes here, and I think he provided good minutes actually in the game yesterday. Just to give Lamont a break, somebody had to.
Yeah, I know. But I would kept just yelling at the TV. My wife was like, "Why are you bashing the freshman like that?" I was like, "Because he should not be out there."
But
Chucky Hepburn was dicing him up.
Yeah, the thing that got me with Amari was a couple times they went to the rim and he didn't even put his hands up, and it's like, dude, you're 7 foot tall, like you're here to
play some defense.
Yeah, you're here to protect the rim. So and put in Brandon Garrison, who physically is the part.
Right.
Still has some room to grow in his game, but
yes,
I do like the fire that Brandon Garrison.
Oh my gosh,
brought. He punched Chucky Hepburn.
I saw a Louisville fan yesterday tweeted out, he's just like DeMarcus Cousins, but not good.
He's good, but it also is one of those things that you need a guy like that.
Yes.
You need a guy like that, especially, we thought that was going to be Kerr.
But do we have 2 of them?
You might, but you really do need a guy, sort of, I wouldn't call it quite an enforcer, but just a guy that is going to be physical and not put up with any shit.
Yeah.
And that's obviously Brandon Garrison.
Very clear.
Starting the tussle and all that stuff, which...
He didn't start it. He got
shoved in the bag, but he also he wiped the guy across the face, too, on the ground. And which I think is
he was going for the ball, though.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that's probably what set off the mosh pit or whatever you want to call that. The worst fight without any punches or shoves that I think I've ever seen.
Right.
But
they went to the monitor and were like, there's going to be people get ejected. And
yeah, there was nothing.
Come on, that was a kindergarten scuffle.
Yeah, and you love to see it, though, because it shows, and it came out, I don't know if you got a chance to watch the video where it came out that the former players wrote letters to
I did. I loved that.
The current ones kind of explaining what the rivalry meant. And, obviously Travis and Trent know.
Right.
But, and Mark Pope obviously knows.
Right.
But
I can't believe they didn't put him in that video.
Yeah. But you see that it hit and that they understand it now. And after the game, with them throwing the L's down, and another thing,
I'm glad Pope let him do that.
Another thing that was really cool that I thought was really cool, in the Mark Pope post game show, all the players came back out, and were signing autographs and everything for everybody, and they did that twice, from what I've been told. So that really shows not only do they understand this rivalry and how important that it is to the state, but they understand as well there's more to this than just going out there and playing.
I heard Pope wouldn't leave last night till he signed every autograph possible.
Yeah. I mean, there was a picture of him that he worked, and there was like 5 people left in Rupp Arena, and he was making sure he signed every autograph. And that shows that he understands. And Calipari was good about this as well.
Right.
It shows that he understands the assignment.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
His motto.
That you've got to be, if you're in this position in Kentucky, you can't be one of these guys that's not going to interact with the fans,
right?
Run away, but
can't just him haw around.
It's just not going to work, and that ultimately, revisionist history here, obviously. But when Danny hurt, it wouldn't have worked.
No,
it just wouldn't have worked. And at the time, I wanted it more than anything. I wanted
Dan Hurley is a psycho.
He is, but it wouldn't have worked.
No,
it would not have worked here, unfortunately. And I almost don't think Scott Drew would have either.
Yeah, they're exact opposites.
Yeah, that Mark Pope, credit to Mitch Barnhart for as much criticism as he gets. He stuck to his guns and hired Pope,
right?
Which is so far looks to be an amazing hire.
Yeah.
At this point in the season, did you have them with one loss?
No,
not at all.
I had us with probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, and that when it comes into conference play, the SEC is by far and away the best conference this year. Yeah. There's no question about that.
I think they have an overall record of 143-20.
Yeah, but when it comes down to it now, you're seeing the, I guess, the vision that Barnhart had. It's something I'm excited for. I'll admit I was not when that news broke, I was not.
Yeah, the first 24 hours, I was as pissed as anybody.
And, I think I actually may have been one of the ones to kind of help sell you on it, because I turned a little quicker than most. I was kind of like 12 hours in, I was kind of like, okay.
It took me about 24, and I started watching some of his offense and his philosophy, and I still had my doubts.
Yeah, but
and that was all centered around recruiting, and that's
shut that down.
Yeah, we're good.
We're gonna get Caleb.
Yep.
So,
any chance we get one more since the Arenas kid reclassified?
I don't think so. Just the way these portal guys have gone so well for Mark Pope,
right?
That it makes you, sure you want the Jasper Johnson, sure you want the Morenos, all those guys. I get it. Yes, you want those, but there's also a place for the Lamont Butlers of the world that would not have been Kentucky recruits out of high school, if we're being honest. But there's places for them. And Calipari, acted like there was a I don't know what you want to call it, but Pope, when it comes down to it, ultimately is going to get the right pieces to play his offense. People, there's revisionist history here. People don't remember there was some criticism when he went after Lamont Butler first.
Yeah.
That they're like, what are we doing? Like San Diego State. And it's obvious that, that
he's the leader of that team.
Yeah, that he's the leader of the team. So that ultimately turned out to be the right thing. And it's great.
I'll say this. Thank God we have Lamont Butler and not John L. Davis.
Yes, he's been horrible in Arkansas. Horrible. But it ultimately shows, too, that, Pope's going to get his guys. He's not going to get...
He don't care about their names or their accolades.
Exactly.
You get them in his system, and
that's what I was trying to say a minute ago. Right? So that's kind of where we are on that. So before we go into it here, before we put an end to this thing, going to be having our first come out with shorts. How about that? How exciting is that?
Love it. Big things coming.
United We Stand. If you haven't already, check it out at www.untdwestnd.com.
Nice.
Yeah, that's going to get stuck in your head. Sorry. But check it out, guys. We're constantly posting stuff. Follow Clark on Twitter at Clarkus23. Follow me at Coach Ryan KY. constant content coming out regarding the Wildcats. And, from a fan's perspective, sure, we're media.
Right.
But we're fans first, right? You
Absolutely.
See us in here. You got the Kentucky hat on. I'm wearing the jumpsuit.
Shout out to Acro on X.
Yeah, Acro.
I know he watches.
So that's one of those things that just was awesome. That we're fans first.
Yeah.
We're fans first. So we appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate all the support so far. And we know this thing's only going to grow. Tell everybody you know about it. You got anything else for them?
Nope, I'm good.
Actually, let's give one more thing. Let's give our Ohio State prediction while we're at it.
Okay.
So, Ohio State, Kentucky, Madison Square Garden, New York City, the mecca of college basketball, the mecca of basketball, period, many would say. The Garden was Eden in the 70s for the Knicks. Mm-hmm. Will the Garden be Eden for Pope on Saturday at 5:30?
Yes, we're going to beat the brakes off of them. Tennessee almost 50-pieced them.
What's your score prediction?
94-63.
Oh! All right.
Jackson Robinson MVP.
All right, we're doing that. All right, I will go 90-72. MVP Amari Williams. He's going to give it to Aaron Bradshaw. He's going to have him a heck of a comeback game. Amari, do not let me down. Okay? Do not let me down. So, now do you have anything for him?
Nope, I'm good. Y'all have a good rest of your weekend.
I don't either. Go Cats.